All right, so today we're diving into RPA analytics.
Ooh, exciting stuff.
Yeah, and to guide us through this, we've got the RPA analytics white paper.
Excellent choice.
Now, just to level set for everyone, when we talk about RPA, we're talking about those software robots, the ones that can automate all those business
Yeah,
processes.
exactly. Like handling invoices, maybe doing some payroll stuff, basically taking over those repetitive tasks.
Right. Like a super efficient digital workforce. And the thing is, this whole RPA thing, it's blowing up, right? I mean, Gartner reported, what was it, like 63% growth back in 2018?
Massive, fastest
They're
growing software segment at the time.
crazy. But, and here's the catch, a lot of companies, they're struggling a bit. They're not quite getting the full potential out of all this RPA stuff.
Yeah, that's a common challenge. It's like having a super powerful sports car and only ever driving it in first gear.
Oh, I like that analogy.
The real magic of RPA comes when you start analyzing how it's performing, measuring its impact, using all that data to actually improve things.
So it's not just about automating tasks, it's about understanding how all those automations are actually doing, right?
Exactly. It's about using data to make smarter decisions, continuously improve, and really make sure that RPA is delivering on its promises. It's like having mission control for your robot workforce.
That makes sense. So it's not just about the robots themselves, it's about having the insights to actually manage them effectively.
Right. A lot of companies, they jump into these RPA pilot projects, which is great, but then they kind of hit a wall when it comes to scaling things up.
Why is that? What's holding them back?
Well, one big thing is data, or rather, the lack of it. They often don't have the hard data to really prove how much value RPA is bringing to the table.
Uh-huh. So they can't justify investing more.
Exactly. Without those data-driven insights, it's tough to make the case for expanding those initial projects and really unlocking the full potential of RPA.
So let's take a step back for a second. Why is RPA so important in the first place? What's driving this whole need for automation in businesses today?
Well, in today's world, businesses need to be incredibly agile and efficient. They've got to be able to respond to customer needs in an instant. And that means constantly looking for ways to optimize their operations.
Streamlining things, cutting out the waste.
Precisely. And that's where RPA comes in. It takes over all those repetitive, rule-based tasks that, frankly, eat up so much time and resources. It frees up human employees to focus on, more strategic and creative work, the things that actually add real value.
Right, like problem solving, decision making, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. But there's a catch. A lot of organizations, they kind of dive into RPA without really setting clear expectations.
What do you mean?
Well, their processes might not be formalized, or they might not have a clear way to measure the impact their robots are actually having. They're automating tasks, but they can't always show how those automations are contributing to the bottom line.
So it's back to that data problem again.
Pretty much. Without concrete data to back it all up, it's hard to get that buy-in from the higher-ups.
Yeah.
They need to see the ROI.
Okay, so let's say a company is ready to take their RPA to the next level. They put together a dedicated team, their Center of Excellence, right? The COE.
Yeah, the COE. Think of it as mission control for their robot workforce. You've got solution architects, developers, business analysts, all focused on making sure their robots are, top performers.
Okay, that makes sense. But even with a dedicated team, how do you really know your robots are delivering on those goals? Robots can make mistakes, right?
For sure, they can encounter unexpected situations, even, take those unauthorized coffee breaks.
Right, so how do you keep them on track, make sure they're working efficiently?
That's where good analytics comes in.
Yeah.
Without it, the COE is basically flying blind. They need data to see how their robots are performing. Are they being overworked, underutilized? Are there any bottlenecks in the process?
Are they making errors?
Exactly, all those things. They need that visibility to ensure their robots are actually performing at their best.
So RPA analytics, it's like having that X-ray vision into your robotic workforce.
Perfect analogy. It gives you the insights you need to not just automate tasks, but to actually manage your automation effectively.
Okay, so what exactly can it measure? What kind of data are we talking about here?
Oh, we can get incredibly granular. Like, we can track the productivity of each individual robot. How many tasks are they completing in a certain time frame? We can measure their capacity. How much work can they handle before hitting their limit? And we can analyze their utilization. Are they working at full capacity, or are some just sitting around while others are overloaded?
Wow, so we can actually see if some robots are slacking off.
We can. And it's not just about the individual robots either. We need to look at the bigger picture, the processes themselves. We can analyze things like throughput, how many transactions are flowing through the system. We can look at their success rate, what percentage are being completed without errors.
And are there any bottlenecks causing slowdowns?
Exactly. And we can't forget about queues, right? Those are like waiting rooms for tasks that need to be completed by the robots. We need to make sure those are being managed efficiently.
So we're talking about the average handling time for each transaction.
And the total number of transactions being processed, and even if those robots are meeting those important service level agreements, those deadlines that really impact customer satisfaction.
Okay, so we're gathering all this data, analyzing it, but it can't just be about numbers for the sake of numbers, right?
Right. We need to connect all of this back to the business, tie it to those key performance indicators, those big picture goals that really matter. Things like return on investment, cost savings, customer satisfaction scores, employee engagement, all that good stuff.
So it's about taking all this data and turning it into actionable insights, right? Insights that actually drive real business value.
You got it. When you can show how RPA is directly impacting the bottom line, well, that's when you really get everyone's attention.
That's when you make the case for even more automation.
Yeah.
All right. This is fascinating stuff. I'm eager to hear more. We'll be right back after a quick break to dive even deeper into the world of RPA analytics. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about RPA analytics and how it can help companies track and optimize their robot workforce.
Right. All those insights we can glean from the data.
Yeah, but it seems like it's not just about the numbers themselves, right? We have to connect those insights to actual business decisions.
Exactly. It's not enough to just, collect data for the sake of it. We need to make it meaningful, translate it into something that everyone in the organization can understand.
Especially, I imagine, the folks who are making those big strategic calls.
Oh, absolutely. We need to prove that RPA isn't just some cool tech experiment.
Right, it has to deliver actual results.
Tangible results, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's so powerful about RPA analytics. Remember those metrics we talked about? Like robot productivity, process throughput, error rates?
Yeah, I remember those.
Well, a good analytics platform can take those numbers and show how they actually translate into real business outcomes.
So things like, what, cutting costs, boosting efficiency?
Yes. Things like making customers happier, maybe even reducing risks, improving compliance.
Okay, so we're talking about speaking the language of business, right? Not just tech jargon.
Exactly. It's like having a universal translator, turning that tech speak into, business speak.
I like that. So a company is ready to, jump on board with RPA analytics. Where do they even start? It sounds pretty complex.
It can be, but it's not insurmountable. With, a clear strategy and a good understanding of their goals, any company can successfully implement RPA analytics and start seeing those rewards.
Okay, so what's the first step?
Well, we've got to talk about the data itself.
Right, because even the fanciest analytics platform isn't going to do you any good if you're feeding it bad data.
Couldn't agree more. Data quality is absolutely essential. We need to make sure that it's accurate, it's complete, and it's consistent.
So that might involve cleaning up existing data. Maybe establishing some strong data governance processes.
Yeah, it might even involve bringing in data integration specialists, people who can make sure that all your systems are talking to each other smoothly.
Okay, so there's a lot of groundwork to be laid even before you get to the actual analysis part.
That's true. But think of it like building a solid foundation for your RPA analytics house. Once you have that foundation in place, then we can start thinking about the structure itself.
The analytics platform.
Exactly. What kind of platform are you going to use? Custom software, off-the-shelf solutions, something else entirely.
Oh, so there's different options.
Oh, absolutely. There's tons of variety out there to fit different needs and budgets.
So some companies might decide to build their own platform.
Yep. Gives them ultimate control.
Yeah.
Others might prefer to go with an off-the-shelf solution, which can often be faster and less expensive up front.
And then there are those hybrid approaches, right? The ones that kind of combine existing tools with custom components.
Right. It really depends on the individual company. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here.
I guess you have to consider the scale of their RPA deployments, what their IT setup looks like, the skills they have in-house, and, of course, their budget.
All important factors.
Mhm.
And also, don't forget about the specific insights they're looking for.
Right, because some companies might be laser focused on tracking just robot performance, while others might be more interested in how RPA is affecting, customer experience or overall process efficiency.
Absolutely. So defining those goals for RPA analytics up front, it's crucial. Ask yourself, what questions am I trying to answer? What decisions am I hoping to inform?
I like that. So once we've, sorted our data, chosen our analytics platform, can we just hit analyze and wait for the magic to happen?
Well, not quite. We're still missing a very important piece of the puzzle.
Oh, what's that?
Visualization.
Oh, right. You can have all this data crunched and analyzed, but if you can't actually communicate those insights effectively, it's not doing much good.
Exactly. It's like having a treasure map, but no way to actually read it.
So, what do we do? How do we make the data understandable?
Well, that's where data visualization comes in. It's about turning those raw numbers in all those spreadsheets and databases into something that's compelling and tells a story. Think charts, graphs, dashboards.
Ah, so something that people can actually make sense of quickly?
Yes, a well-designed dashboard, it can make even the most complex data instantly understandable. You can highlight key trends, uncover hidden patterns, even spot potential problems before they, turn into major headaches.
And I'm guessing different people within a company might need to see that data in different ways, right?
Oh, definitely. The executive team might want to see that big picture ROI, while a process owner might need to dive into those nitty-gritty details of robot performance.
So you have to tailor the visualizations to the specific audience.
Exactly. And a good analytics platform will let you do just that. You can create custom dashboards for all those different needs and levels of detail.
This is great. Sounds like we're finally ready to put RPA analytics into action. But how do we ensure that it's not just a one-time thing, that it becomes an ongoing part of managing and optimizing our robot workforce?
That's a great question. It brings us to a key aspect of RPA analytics, which is integration.
Integration.
Yeah. Your analytics platform, it shouldn't just be sitting off to the side, gathering dust. It needs to be woven into your existing RPA workflows and processes.
So it's not just about analyzing what's already happened. It's about using those insights to make real-time decisions and constantly improve how you're managing your robots.
Yes. Think of it as a continuous feedback loop. You've got data flowing in from those robots, and then it gets analyzed, visualized, and finally used to tweak those processes or maybe robot configurations, even your overall automation strategy.
It's like this constant conversation between the robots and the humans.
I like that. Each one is learning from the other, and they're working together towards better outcomes.
That's where the real power lies, right?
Exactly. It's not just about generating reports. It's about using data to drive real transformation.
Helping companies become more agile, more efficient, and ultimately more successful.
That's the goal.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the theory behind RPA analytics, but let's get down to brass tacks here. Can you give us some real-world examples, companies that are actually using this stuff to get results?
Oh, absolutely. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because real-world examples, that's where the aha moments happen. You can see how these concepts actually translate into tangible benefits for businesses across pretty much every industry.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
Okay, so let's start with a story from the world of financial services. An industry where accuracy, speed, and compliance, they're not just nice to haves, they're absolutely essential.
High stick.
Yeah, for sure. So picture this. You've got a large bank. They're processing thousands of loan applications every single day. Now, this is a highly manual process.
Yeah.
It takes forever, and it's unfortunately prone to errors and delays.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It can be. So they decided to implement RPA to automate some key parts of this process. Things like data entry, verification, credit checks, even some risk assessments.
Okay, so they're bringing in the robots, but did they just kind of throw a bunch of robots at the problem and hope for the best?
Not at all. They were very strategic about it. They started with a pilot project. They carefully selected one specific type of loan application to automate, and they used RPA analytics to track the robot's performance every step of the way, measuring things like processing time, error rates, how well they were adhering to all those compliance regulations.
So they were using data to make sure the robots were actually adding value from the very beginning.
Exactly. And the results were pretty impressive. They saw a dramatic reduction in processing time. Like, they went from days down to hours in some cases.
Right.
The error rate, it plummeted, and their compliance record, it improved significantly.
So armed with that data, they were able to make the case to expand the program.
Exactly. They could get to the higher-ups and say, look, this is working. We need to do more of this.
It's a great example of how RPA analytics can help you, start small, prove the value, and then scale things up with confidence.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, efficiency and cost savings. RPA analytics, it can also be a powerful tool for improving the customer experience.
Oh, that's interesting. I usually think of robots as, kind of working behind the scenes, not necessarily interacting with customers directly.
Right. That's often the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
But think of it this way. When you automate those repetitive tasks, the ones that, that eat up so much of your employees' time, you free them up to focus on things like providing better customer service.
Right, so happier employees, less stress, and that translates to happier customers.
Exactly. It's a ripple effect. So let's look at an example from the healthcare industry. I was working with this large hospital, and they were having really trouble with wait times. Patients were, having to wait forever just to schedule an appointment.
Oh, I hate that.
It's the worst. And they had a small team managing all those appointment requests, but they were doing it all manually. Phone calls, emails. It was a huge bottleneck.
So they decided to bring in some robots.
They did. They implemented RPA to automate that whole appointment scheduling process. They introduced a chatbot on their website that could handle those basic appointment requests, freed up their staff to focus on the more complex cases or patients that needed more urgent care.
So the robots are basically acting as virtual assistants, handling all the routine stuff?
Precisely. And here's the key part. They use RPA analytics to track all the important metrics: average wait times, the number of appointments booked through the chatbot, even patient satisfaction scores.
So they're constantly monitoring the system, looking for ways to make it even better.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And by analyzing the data, they were able to identify some interesting patterns. For example, they noticed that certain types of appointments, they were more likely to be booked during specific times of the day.
Really?
Yeah. So they used that insight to adjust the chatbot's availability and the scheduling algorithms.
Yeah.
Made it even easier for patients to book appointments at their convenience.
That's great. So they're not just measuring performance, they're actually using the data to innovate, to create a more customer-centric experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are just a couple of examples. We could spend hours talking about companies using RPA analytics to transform their operations.
Yeah.
From streamlining supply chains to optimizing marketing campaigns, even accelerating scientific research. It's incredible.
It sounds like RPA analytics is more than just, a flashy tech trend. It's really a fundamental shift in how organizations are approaching their work.
Absolutely. They're using data to empower their robot workforce and reach new levels of, efficiency, customer satisfaction, even innovation. It's a really exciting time to be involved in this field.
Sounds like it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the why to the how of RPA analytics. It's clear that this is a powerful tool for any organization looking to, streamline operations, improve the customer experience, and ultimately drive better business outcomes. So to our listeners, I want to leave you with this. What areas of your work could benefit from RPA analytics? What processes could be streamlined? What tasks could be automated? The answers might surprise you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring.